Good afternoon, Erik. Congratulations, you finally decided to retire. And there's nobody that's earned it more and deserves it more than you, so I'm very happy for you. Over the last few days, I began to reflect a little bit about our relationship and how I got to know you. And I think I can describe you now in about 3 different terms. One would be a leader, second would be mentor, and third would be friend. Certainly your leadership was known when you arrived back at the clinic, bringing your skills in thoracic surgery and in pediatric surgery, and you established the departments in both. What a milestone that was. And of course, there are many other things you did for the clinic over the years. So you're a tremendous leader. And you were my mentor. I came here in 1969, and your service was one of the first ones that I rotated on. And I'll never forget. I almost can picture it in my eyes when you taught me how to close a wound and do the subcutaneous sutures so that the wound was perfect, and you always ended up with a hairline scar. Erik, you don't know how many times I taught that to other residents that came through the service. And every time I would say, I learned this from Dr. Erik Gunderson. I was proud of it. And you taught me some other things when I went down to Iowa to do, and I had to do a mediastinoscopy. They said, where'd you learn that? Well, I learned that from Dr. Gunderson. I suspect they're not doing that anymore. So you were my mentor. And then on a Monday 20 years ago, you had just retired, and I called you and said, you want to join me in the office at the foundation? We've got an office for you. And you were there the next day. And the past 20 years have been wonderful. And your leadership appeared again, and all the things you did for the foundation. My goodness, how much time you spent preparing all those posters and interviewing people and putting them together and then making sure they were hung properly. A good friend, John Wettstein, who you know, he used to remark to me how he'd like to come into the clinic to see those posters because he knew what was going on in the various departments. And of course, you had other things that you were doing. I don't know how many times you went out and picked up checks at various small cities from Lions Clubs, etc., and you took our message with you. And of course, you did so much for the Children's Miracle Network, which ended up in a nice reward. And the times that you called patients. I remember walking into your office one day, and you had just connected to a woman in Iowa about the donation that she had made. And we could both hear in the background, Jim, it's Dr. Erik. Dr. Erik's on the phone. It's Dr. Erik Gunderson calling us. She was so happy. And that's what you had a knack for doing, Erik, was bringing people along and teaching them and mentoring them, and then we became friends. Our friendship started out rather slowly, but over 20 years it really developed, didn't it? Yes, I remember one time, perhaps 2 or 3 years before I retired, we were both particularly happy about something. So I reached out and grabbed you and gave you a big hug. And there was that Norwegian stiffness for just a moment. And then you relaxed and you had a big smile. And I said to myself, we're friends. So, Dr. Erik, in 3 words, you're a leader, you're a mentor, and you're my friend. And of all 3, the most that I value is your friendship. Enjoy your retirement, Erik. You've deserved it. And remember, friendship has no seasons.
Hey, Dr. Erik and Sophia. I wish I was seeing you in person to extend this greeting to you, but this will have to suffice. I've often told people that I've been so blessed to work for an amazing organization in the 26, 27 years that I did. But the truth is, the best part of my work with the foundation was working with you, Dr. Erik. I was very proud to work alongside you every day. It was wonderful to see how amazing you treated our benefactors and all of the friends of the foundation. They loved you, as do I. So I wish you the very, very best. And I hope the 2 of you can get out and do a little traveling when this COVID business is over. Enjoy your retirement. I highly recommend it. Best wishes.
I guess I'd start, Erik, by telling you a big thank you. As part of our surgery team, as part of our foundation, and I think about the impact that you had on this organization, it overwhelms me. I speak from a different perspective than some of the others, maybe because I had that rare opportunity to watch you in the operating room. And when I think about your career here, I think about three things. I think about the fact that you were innovative and you brought forward the surgery program, the cardiac surgery program. I go back to thinking about stories of how we were bringing cows in through the basement so that you could train a team. And the second is your expertise, and not only in managing a team and directing a team, but the skill set that you had in operating. I think I have so many colleagues and friends who have said, never seen anybody operate as well as Dr. Erik. And I think about the time that I had an opportunity to operate with you on a couple of babies, and truly, you made things look so easy. People would then try it and they go, wow, this is a lot more difficult than it looks. And you had that skill set, and you probably still have that skill set deep in your memory, and I think that's important. I'm going to tell you a story that stuck with me. It's actually from Tom Cogbill. And when Tom was a relatively young vascular surgeon, you and he went down, and I think it was to visit DeBakey down in Texas. And Tom remembers you and he hanging over DeBakey's shoulder while he was doing an operation. And about 3 minutes into what Tom described as sort of a bloodbath, you turned to Tom and you said, I think I've seen just about as much as I need to, and walked out of the operating room, leaving this young man like, oh my goodness, here's a star in the history of vascular surgery, and now how am I going to explain this? But I think that really speaks to your attention to detail, technique, and excellence. And just again, a big thank you.
In trying to think of what to say to you at this time, I looked back at my years at Gunderson Clinic and Lutheran Hospital, and it occurred to me that every job I ever held involved you in some way, shape, or form. I started out as an orderly in the old EW, and that was when the medical staff rotated. We didn't have a permanent staff in the emergency ward at that time. You would come in, and I remember that it was either you or Dr. Ottoff that would always buy us pizza, and we really appreciated that. And then I was a coronary care nurse, and you'd come in at all hours of the night to check on your patients. And then you honored me by including me in the pump team. So you know all the stories behind that. We had a lot of good times there too. And then I was in the pacemaker clinic, but then more recently I was in referral services, and after you retired from surgery, you became part of our department. And we had some great road trips at the time. But in all that time, I remember you being fair and treated us all like colleagues, never a harsh word, and I really appreciated that. So I just want to say congratulations on your retirement. If it's anything like mine over the last 3 years, I think you're going to really enjoy it, because you get up in the morning and you do anything you want to do. And I wish the best for you, and take care.
Hey, Dr. Erik, congratulations on your retirement. As I said before, 50 years plus is an unbelievable legacy that you've left for the organization. I feel personally gratified that you always were willing to stop and say hello to me, even as a first year doc. And it really meant a lot to me that somebody with the name of Gunderson, who was so deeply committed to the organization, was willing to talk to just some doctor in the hallway. So I've always tried to model your gentlemanly demeanor and how you really respect everyone that you come across. You've been a bit of a model for me, and I know lots of folks in the organization. Gunderson is eternally grateful for your legacy, which will last for many generations. Your effect for the organization will continue to be part of our soul going forward, and you will never really be forgotten, and your effect will not wear off. So I hope that you have many more years of satisfaction, come back and see us, work with us, and continue to be that icon that I've always known you to be. So congratulations, and we'll be seeing you around.
Dr. Erik, thank you for all the wonderful times that we worked together. It's hard to believe, but it's over 39 years now. I remember the first time we met. You stopped into the projection room of the Erasmus Center and asked if I minded if you watched the lecture with me. For Dr. Erik to ask permission from me, that meant a lot. From that time forward, you would stop up and watch, and we'd talk. I remember the first time I recorded one of your open heart procedures. I was amazed at what you could do. You were such a skilled surgeon. The first valve I recorded with you shocked me. Just how many sutures it took to hold that valve in place. Then you moved over to the foundation. We spent time together on the board. Who can forget all those heritage programs we did together? You betcha. We had many good times along the way. You were always kind and caring to me, and I will never forget that. I just want to tell you one more thing that you don't know about my family. I named my son Erik with a K because of all the interactions I had with you and the kindness you shared to me. You were such a special person. Thanks for all the memories. The last thing I want to say to you is thank you for sharing your genealogy book with me. I still have a note on it that you put on it. It says, and I quote, "Paul, since you are so nosy, A. Erik G. I will keep and treasure it in my office. Please take care of yourself. Your friend, Paul."
Hi, Erik. Well, I'm not exactly sure why I was chosen to be part of your well-wishers here on this occasion, but I'm certainly honored and delighted to do so. I kind of think that the story of your relationship with the Kirkpatrick family is maybe the relationship of a lot of people in the La Crosse area. And started out with you as a surgeon and giving Mom a second lease on life, for which she was thankful for each and every day. You also gave the Kirkpatrick family the gift of 15 years with her that we wouldn't have had. And we treasure that to this day. She loved it when you would stop by and visit, just to see how she was doing and sit and talk. She loved to share stories, as you well know, of your ancestors. Both of you had some common heritage in why they came to America, what brought them here. Do you remember she'd have her 7 drops of bourbon? And I think I probably added more than 7 drops in your glass because you talked quite a bit. I'll never forget one time when she thanked you profusely for coming because she knew you were a busy man, you had places to go, you were taking time out of your schedule to come and see her. And you just smiled and winked at her and said, "Well, Ree, when your name is on the front door, you really need to show up." And show up you have, Doctor. As a physician, you were always there for your patients, your colleagues. You were there to meet the new staff, new physicians that came in, mentoring them and introducing them to Gunderson Clinic. And I mean, really, being introduced to Gunderson by a Gunderson, that was showing up. As a member of the Gunderson Foundation, you showed up too. Board meetings, committee meetings, social functions, which I know you really loved, about like I did. But you showed up because your name was on the door. And all of your phone calls thanking donors for their gifts. I cannot tell you how many times, Erik, people would say to me, knowing my association with the foundation, "I can't believe that the Dr. Gunderson called to thank me for my check." But you did it because your name was on the door. You showed up. And I rather think you're going to continue to show up for the community in whatever you're doing, and we're all going to benefit by that. I don't think I'll personally ever forget. I just cherish the times we spent on Heritage Productions. Your participation, your encouragement for me made me want to do the very best job I could. Did we know we were going to create a ham when we introduced you? I don't think so. Are we glad we did? Oh, you betcha. And I close remembering that very first time you took to the stage with the Heritage Players. Do you remember? You walked on stage as the Tin Man, and that audience in the Rasmus went berserk. They just loved it. Talk about showing up. And when presenting Tin Man with his heart, the wizard uttered these very profound words. And I'm going to read them because I don't want to mess it up. A heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others. So, Dr. A. Erik Gunderson, you are loved by so very many people, and I know they join me in wishing you nothing but the best in the years to come. Cheers.
Hi, Dr. Erik. On behalf of myself and our family, I want to say thank you. I remember a quote from your cousin's library dedication when they dedicated that to Dr. Adolf, and I remember quotes for some reason, and one of the quotes I remember saying is that if people have helped you, you can't say thank you enough. And you've helped me personally and my family in ways you don't even know about. One way I'd like to share with you is just to explain to you how I ended up at Gunderson. And you might think naturally it's because of my father and my brother being here, but it really probably had more to do with John Clemens, if you want to know the truth. And John shared a story with me that I want to share again and see if it's accurate. You can call me and tell me if it's not, because John did have a way of embellishing things a little bit. But he was an intern here, I think in 1968, and he came off the farm from Bloomer, Wisconsin, and he loved animals. And one of the things that he told me that he cherished most about his internship, because he was an intern here and then he went to Iowa City, I'm sure you knew that too, is the time that he got to go into the basement and practiced putting cows on the perfusion machine, and then you practicing doing revascularizations on the cattle. And he loved that. I can't tell you how many times he told me about that story of you and him working together and the time that he had to work with you, and of course with your cousins, Adolf and Sig. So that got me thinking a little bit about what it must have been like for you to come here with the legacy of your family, obviously quite prominent and well entrenched at that point already, and then how you started an entire another chapter for the legacy of this organization with the Heart Institute, and what it must have taken to get that going. I'm a musician, so I think that you were a great conductor because you had to bring together all these different instruments. You had to bring together anesthesia because they had never done anesthesia for open hearts, I'm sure. You had to bring together the radiology to do the imaging studies to look for the blocked vessels and the bad valves or the holes in the heart. You had to bring together the perfusionists to know how to put the, cows first and then humans later on bypass. And then the dance that must have taken to work with cardiologists. I remember Dr. Green, I think, was the first cardiologist that supported the Heart Institute. I do remember Dr. Edgett coming and visiting Dad when he was thinking about coming to La Crosse. I think Dr. Edgett had contacts with Dad in the Army, and I remember him coming here. And I remember Father talking about what an amazing thing when you could revascularize these patients. And then Dr. Edgett got them moving like within a week, and that what a difference that was from the current state of thinking about rehabbing after heart surgery, and that Dr. Edgett was a proponent of early mobilization and moving. And so it was quite an orchestra you put together to make that happen here. And to think that none of that existed. You didn't build upon anything here, you built it. And I like to think that we have used that model in our own department. We have a great head and neck cancer institute now. We can't do any of it without the support of all of us together,
For instance, Dr. Mann's being able to reconstruct defects, and the oncologists, the medical oncologists, the radiation oncologists, the speech pathologists, the nutritionists, the social work. We bring all those people together to support the patient. And I think that in a large way, or probably in the largest way, your program that you helped conduct to start the Heart Institute was the prototypical program here at this organization. And we continue that to this day. And we have you to thank for that. And now, as I'm thinking, I obviously don't know a lot about the heart valve replacements, but the balancing act that you must have had to work with between the cardiologists and the interventions that they could do, and obviously the surgical interventions that you could do, it's the same balancing act going on today now with heart valve replacements that can be done via intravascular approaches. And so that balancing act still is going on. And again, we thank you for that legacy that allows us to adapt and change that, because it had such a great beginning. More than anyone else, I think I can imagine exactly what you felt like when you came here to practice with your cousins and your family. It is both uplifting in that there's a legacy, but there's also pressure in that you want to uphold that legacy and not do anything to blemish the legacy that you followed. And in that respect, I know that I have felt many of the same things that you felt when you must have come here to start your program. And it has been such a great program. And 50 years later, we still hear you say "you betcha" around here. And so again, I just want to say thank you. We can't say thank you enough to the people that have helped us. It's been my pleasure to have been able to do a few cases with you when I was early on in my career, and it's been an even greater privilege and honor to be your physician and help care for you here this last decade or so. So good luck to you. Thank you for all that you have done for me personally, for our family, and for this organization. And best wishes in your retirement. Thank you.
Hey, Erik. I hear you're retiring, and I think this is a great opportunity for me to thank you for everything you have done, not only for the Heart Institute and for the organization, but as well for me personally. I remember I came here, a young lad of 36, and I quickly latched onto you as a role model. Your excellence in the care you provided our patients, your aggressiveness, which was appropriate in terms of giving the best care to them, and your constant thirst for new experiences and adventures really played a role in my formation. I even took up some of your hobbies, such as mountain climbing. So you were behind my personal success, and I think behind the personal success of many of the other people that comprise the Heart Institute, which you founded and made happen, and attained immense recognition for us and made us a wonderful place to take care of patients. So that will never be forgotten. But at a time when many people said, well, I just hang it up, then you took up another challenge to work with the foundation and to make sure that their philanthropic and support goals were met. So I'm going to miss you, but I hope that we can every so often get together or maybe share experiences. I do know that I will do my very best to see you every New Year's Day.
Dr. Erik, congratulations. So happy for you and so proud of everything you've accomplished here at Gunderson. You are the reason we are here, frankly. You built the Heart Institute. You were a legend when I started. I started here 32 years ago, and you were already a legend. And to watch what you've done at the Heart Institute just makes me so prideful. We have had a great run here, the three of us, and just want to thank you for all the years of service at Gunderson and for everything you've done for our community and for the Heart Institute.
I would say ditto. Erik, I feel very fortunate, very blessed to have had the opportunity to work with you, to get to know you. You truly are a giant, and you have made all of this possible for so many people. You've had such impact on so many lives. You've always been a gentleman, and you're a great guy. We need to go for a beer once this COVID stuff gets kind of resolved.
Agree.
Well, Dr. Erik, there's not enough words to say about your career. You are a legend in the field, and I've been gifted to spend many hours in an operating room with you, as well as hours discussing our political beliefs. And we're going to see how that plays out. But I, at the risk of taking up a few moments just to throw out a few memories that I have, is our trip down to Tampa when we watched Dr. Carpentier perform the pioneering procedures of mitral valve repair. I recently found a video of you and I in the operating room, and we did one of the Ross switch procedures, which you had gone to Missoula to master. And for those of us who see your work frequently, well, I'll never forget your signature closure with the crossed sternal wires. And if it's any consolation to you, your work persists today, and there's a lot of people who have benefited from that procedure. So best to you, and Godspeed.
Dr. Erik, it's Prem here. I didn't work with you directly, but because of all that you've done for the heart surgery program here at Gunderson, and for all your pioneering efforts, and all being, the founding father of this program, so to speak, I really owe you everything, because I wouldn't be here doing this job if it wasn't for all the stuff you've done before. Therefore, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of all the people I work with now, and all the people who have retired, some of whom have worked with you. We'd like to collectively thank you and wish you the best that life has to offer in your retirement and always. I still come across the occasional patient who've had their quote-unquote first heart surgery done by you. They all really speak very endearingly about you. I'm 100% sure I've never heard anything negative about your work. That is some serious testament, I think, to your abilities as a surgeon and your presence, and to all your contributions, in building the heart surgery program here at Gunderson. Again, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you are, all that you were, all that you've done in your career here at Gunderson as part of the family business. Peace and stay safe.
In a different way today. Well, I saw him go walking with a smile on his face. When I asked him what's the matter, this is what I heard him say. See you later, alligator, after wild crocodile. See you later, alligator, after wild crocodile. Can't you see you're in my way now? Don't you know you can't mess out? When I thought of what he told me, nearly made me lose my head. When I thought of what he told me, nearly made me lose my head. But the next time that I saw him, reminded me of what he said. See you later, alligator, after wild crocodile. See you later, alligator, after wild crocodile. Can't you see you're in my way now? Don't you know your grandpa style? Dr. Erik, we will miss you now and every day ahead. We can hope you will think of all the fun that we can have. And our patients always love you, and it's cool if you would care. Yay.